2008 Volkswagen GTI Mark 5.
This airbag light has been on, so we took it into the dealer and had them do some checks on it, and they've determined that it requires a clock spring, so we will swap the clock spring out.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery.
So we'll just take off the negative terminal here. And then we'll tuck that aside and let it set for about 5 or 10 minutes. So while we're waiting for the battery to deplete voltage in the airbag systems, just show you how you release the airbag. So with the steering wheel at 90 degrees, you can see the little wire clip in there. So reaching around from behind the steering wheel, just using a short stubby, you get in there and clip that. And if you twist, if you pry up like that, you can see the little wire coming down off of that little metal tang. And then that's when you can pull this, and then you'll rotate it around to the other side to do the same thing. And that one just popped out, so we'll be redoing that. So I'll keep pressure on the opposite side while I do this one. So back down there. There we go. Let the whole thing come forward. There we go. Oh, there's one. You just pull on the white spring-loaded thing. Pull it back and it lets it detach. And then this one here just has a normal pinch and pull, a little tab. So there's the airbag system out. So we've done this on previous work on this car where we had these female 12 points not having the right tool necessarily to go into it, and so what we found is a 3/8 Allen wrench appears to fit perfectly in there with no slop. So what you can do if you have a closed-in a box wrench here, you can put it out here on the end of this like such, and then that will give you something to you know, put the leverage on the end of that Allen wrench to give it the twisting torque you're looking for. Okay, so we pulled the key out and locked the wheel. And I'll put one hand down here just to keep this steady, and then see if there it went. That was easy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the key back in and unlock the wheel, so we can work with it here. And there's our clock spring back there that we'll be replacing. So I'll go ahead and just pull the wheel off. No puller required. And then now to get to this, we will be getting, I'm not going to mess with where it was. It's about right here. I'm going to work on pulling this stuff off. I'm going to undo this so we can bring this down. And one thing that's going to come in handy is this steel ruler. So first I'm just going to explore in here a little bit without just sticking the screwdriver in there. It's a pretty tight space. This is a little bit thinner. Clip that is up in right behind here, a metal clip, and that's what I'm trying to, here we go, just a little twist there. I can feel it release without breaking anything. So it's definitely helpful to use this to initially get in there and create a little bit of a space. so that the screwdriver can go in. Trying to gently give it a little twist. There, that one went. Okay, and it's these little clips right here grabbing on the insides of this. Okay, now Torx head screws. T25 to get these off. Keeping the clock spring, it moves really easily, so we're just kind of keeping it oriented about where it was. Here is about 12 o'clock or just slightly to the right. So one thing that'll help here with it is to, not that I can do it again, but to undo this and telescope it back out to give more room to work. And then there's one more screw underneath here. Oh, hold on. Is that actually a screw? Yep.
Was there a screw?
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is where there's a couple of connectors here that we're going to have to take out. So there's the first connector we'll be getting up there. There's a red tab on top there that will pull out or towards the front of the vehicle, and then that will allow us to push the tab down and pull that connector out. And then maybe get in there, screwdriver, and pry that tab out. So there's the red tab out, and that should just allow us to pinch right behind it and pull that out like so. There's a little tab, you push the little black tab. And the one on this side should be a little bit easier. Pretty much you just pull that little orange tab backwards, and that one should come out. Like that. The next screw you got to take out is right here. This is a T8 Torx, not standard in your normal Torx set. So we had to go get that special for this, but without it, it's going to be a pretty difficult little screw to get. Okay, so this is the control module from underneath here. Seeing how this is laid out will help as you determine the way to get this thing disconnected from underneath there. So reaching in from behind, once you've got the two connectors out and you reach in from behind, you're actually pushing in this tang right here, reaching up between these two from the back, pushing that in the middle, and that releases it, and you can drop that. It'll be like this. You can drop it down in the back slightly once that's clear. Now the front one is a little bit of a challenge in that there's different types of these that makes it difficult to know. There's one, I watched a video where the gentleman was able to come in with a steel rule and come in through here sideways and able to reach over here and push this tang in. Doing it in the blind, obviously, but just feeling for it and knowing you could get in there. My particular application, that would have me trying to come in somewhere over the top of this and it doesn't go through. His did, and he was able to come in over the top of this and slide over like this and hit it. Mine's solid back there. So I had to look for different ways. And if you look at the front there, where that little silver screw was, the T8 that you pulled out, just below that is this little slot. And if you look at the track for that slot, it leads straight in to that tang and gives you access to be able to you know, pry on that and push that over and loosen that one up. The way I went about it is I took my smallest Allen wrench that I could, slid it in through the top here, or through the front I should say, all the way in, and then felt around for it, knowing I need to come in from the right, and then you know, pry it so that it's going to the left. And you can hear as you're sticking that in, you can hear when you're on that or when you're not, if you're in front of it, you know. So you need to come in and kind of angle it to the right so it gets clear of it, and then kind of pry it to the left, and then that front end will drop down. And then if your back end has reattached, or if it's if you haven't done it yet, then you can reach up in there and do the rear one. Those are the two tangs, this one and this one, that are going to allow you to drop that out. Okay, so now that we've removed both of these connectors and got them out of the way, reaching in between the two, you can push in that tang in the back there, which allows that to come down. If you push back up, it clicks again, so you just push it in and rock it back a little bit. And then for the front tang, I'm just using this Allen wrench, the smallest one, sliding it in here, kind of to the right side, and then prying it to the left until that front releases. It'll take a few tries, and that back one may reattach. That's no big deal. So there's the front one. I kind of pushed it up for just a second while I pried on it to release some of the pressure on the tang, and then was able to pull it down. And now I'll push that back one back in again, and this drops straight off. So now I'm just going to lower this back down and maybe lock it in place where I can work with it easier. Pop these, gently pop these two tangs on top, and then the clock spring just pulls straight off. So now we got the replacement one. Has the red tab on it to keep it from rotating until we're ready. I noticed that tab on the old one right here as having been cut, so maybe we've got to cut it versus just releasing it out of there. I'm not sure. So then we take this one back on, line everything up, push it straight on, and snap those in place. There we go. Just leave this on there for now. Looks like you can just pull this and snap it when the time is right. Replacing the module, I'm going to go ahead and pull this back down so that it gives me room under there. You can kind of tell when it's lined up just from your bolt hole here. And then don't force anything, just gently get it up there until you get the 2 clicks. And then we'll replace these 2 connectors. There's that one, and then I'm going to push the little red tang back in to secure it. So once again, put in your T8 screw right up front here. Just snug it up, and that completes the clock spring piece. Let me check this rubber here first, make sure we're in the right place. Secured by the 2 tabs here. Again, make sure we're telescoped out. Slide this back up in here. Here's the handle to release the steering wheel, so we'll slide that slot right up in there like that. And try to bring this up, make sure we're clearing on the rubber piece here. There we go. It's up over the Soap over the ignition. The rubber grommet is now 2 in the front and 1 in the bottom. I'm not going to snug it up yet until I get the other ones in. And now for the top piece, just kind of ease it back in there. Get everything lined up. Make sure all the plastic's overhanging where it should. There it is. So this is the metal piece we're looking at here that is guarded by this plastic that we're about to break off. So it's just on the left side of the opening and inside where this thing pokes through the hole. If I look at the back of the steering wheel, here's the thing where it pokes through the hole, and so that means that metal piece would be scraping against this and just kind of bending into place here. And I'm not sure what that's all about. We've gotten this here. I've been talking about this metal thing here that I didn't see on the other one, but it's just spring loaded. So it should just push in when I install this and provide a ground onto the back of the steering wheel, is my understanding. So that came off pretty easy. I just rocked it back and forth and just rotated it. One thing that I need to point out is on the steering wheel, this locating notch right here at the top, you can see it on there. And if you look at the steering wheel, it's got the same thing right here at the top, and so you just want to make sure when you put it back in that you align those back up. So the clock spring is pointed up. They will locate onto these two holes in here anyways, as we go for the proper orientation of those 2 notches. Like so. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blue thread locker and put on the threads. Get my 3/8 Allen wrench again. Lock the steering wheel. Tighten that thing down good and tight. Everything's all lined up, and we're ready for the airbag. These wire tabs right here are what we pried in to get the airbag off, and that's what, when we push them back in, we'll be snapping down over these. So we will install the 2 electrical connectors, make sure they snap in. Get these lined up. Okay. Those are both popped in. They didn't come back out, and one thing we can do is unlock the steering wheel and make sure that we double check those. There's one, and there's the other one. So anytime you take off a battery terminal, you want to make sure you clean it before you put it back together. Okay. And then replace the cover. Alright, so horn appears to be working. And then what do? Turn on the lights there. Yep, there you go. You got lights, everything's working. So all the lights are on, and now we have to relearn everything, so take it for a short drive.
Can see.
Yeah, windows won't go auto up.
Nope.
Gotta do it again. And this is just a factor of having the battery unhooked, right?
Yes. Okay, so
Right,
that
let's
one
go on.
works.
Okay, working. All right. So now we'll go try to put out some of these lights.
Yep.
So now the steering wheel already went out. Now you only have airbag and DRLs, right? So it should be good.